Legendary author Jane Leavy is here. She has written biographies on Babe Ruth, Sandy Koufax, Mickey Mantle, and this next one that just came out is called Make Me Commissioner. I know what's wrong with baseball and how to fix it. Jane, great to have you on. I
Hey,
love the book cover there. What do you got?
how are you?
I'm good. How are you? You got a prop for us? A little show and tell?
I do. I do have a little prop for you. Let's see. You see it?
Ooh, I like
But they
that.
put
Yeah,
it.
we
They
should
put
put.
it on the wrong part of the ball. What a public. It's like,
But you want to
okay,
change the game, Jane. So
yeah, that's
you
true.
want to change the game. So
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. We'll
as
start putting the.
commissioner,
Yep.
you got the baseball like that, right? It's in a new spot. And then what's your
Yep.
first move as commissioner?
All kids 10 and under get in free.
Woo!
I got no problem with that.
Thank
I,
Good
you.
one. It's a good one. Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
I mean,
Because
I
you
had
get them to stick around for life.
exactly. And if grandpa or your grandma or mom or dad or whoever brings you, they're gonna buy you a Coke and they're gonna buy you a hot dog and a cotton candy and a cap at a minimum. So I had an economist run these numbers using the Cubs numbers from 2023. If they did that for kids 5 through 12, even more kids than I was figuring, it would have cost the Cubs all of $4 million that year. And as you well know, they also paid Jason Hayward $21 million that year to play for the Dodgers. So I think they can manage this.
Why don't they do it? Why don't they do it?
Everything has been monetized in baseball, absolutely everything. And I think that alienates a lot of fans. I mean, besides which, a lot of people cannot pay $18 for a beer, right? Um, it gets to the point. How do you think? How do you start to think out of the box when you've thought in the box for so long? This guy, the same economist, told me that there's something called path dependence, which is an idea in economics, which means once you start down a path, you just keep doing it, even when you know it's wrong, because you're scared to change. Like when GM and all the car manufacturers in the 70s, when the Japanese started making small cars with great mileage, what did the US manufacturers do? They kept doing what they were doing. And baseball has just kept doing what it was doing until it instituted the new rules in 2023, which took forever for them to do because people were so traumatized by the DH.
I have a follow to this. So on the money side,
Mm.
I'm with you, but I could see baseball's answer as, well, NFL doesn't like kids in free. NBA doesn't like kids in free. NHL doesn't like kids in free for the year. So why would we do that? Why do we have to do that? So what do you think the answer back to that would be? And do you think that baseball still believes that it is the top dog in terms of sports out there and that they should be either leading the pack or at least doing what other leagues are doing, like the NFL?
Have you looked at the upper decks in most regular season games lately? They're empty. Vast swaths of empty seats. You tell me that it's better to leave them empty and pan them and say, oh, nobody's going to the game, than to fill them up with kids, right? I fundamentally believe that baseball has a problem of too much inventory and too many games. Now, they're not going to change the number of games unless they do the Rob Manfred's reconfiguration, which might force them to come back down, and if they add more franchises still. But in the meantime, they have the seats empty. I asked Mike Rizzo about this before the Nationals decided to let go of him, and he said, fill it up. Fill it up. And then he paused and he said, of course, it doesn't include parking and alcohol, right? So I said, no parking and alcohol.
But what's going to change it? How is it going to change? Is it your book? Is it the fact that every owner, you put them in a lineup and they all look the same, so they all think the same and they're all the same, just like blah, 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 blah. They're taking away minor league baseball. So small town America, doesn't even know what baseball looks like now unless you buy cable for your regional sports network that's blacked out. What is going to be what's going to be the biggest change that will make an overarching change to make baseball America's pastime again?
Me.
Okay, besides your book.
I want,
Besides your
a
book.
groundswell. I want a groundswell. Um, uh, Honestly, I think they've bragged in the last 2 years about increase in seats sold and in a decrease in the age of them. They've made some inroads. I don't think it's realistic to think baseball is going to be the national pastime again the way it was. Nobody can have exclusive domain in a media world where seasons of overlap and broadcasts overlap. I mean, the NBA goes till June, right? So, and the NFL, exhibition games start in August. Baseball used to have the season to themselves, and it's not going to happen again. So get used to that. Don't expect it again, and start trying to do other things. Jim Cott, who I'm sure you guys know, he actually advocates shortening the season to Memorial Day to Labor Day, really reducing the number of games, giving baseball purchase on a segment of time when they really could dominate. I'm not ready to go there with that yet. He's also, up for seven inning games, which I'm not up for either. But the numbers of fans have increased in when the rules came in 2023, they got a bump of 10% higher. Last year, it was 1% higher. That's a nice number. But you know what it costs to have a kid play baseball these days? It's more expensive to play baseball than it is to participate in any other sport now. So they need to start making baseball accessible. I think cutting the minor leagues, I agree with you completely, was a disaster. How are small market teams supposed to compete? When you cut yourself off from grassroots talent and grassroots fans, you're basically saying you're not important to me. And they need to make fans feel important again.
Jane, you mentioned the access and all that, but isn't this been a Major League Baseball problem forever? Like, they don't give access to their players. I know when I go do a game, I'm going to do a game tomorrow. I walk in the locker room, there's not one player in there. They know the exact time the media is in there, and they all run and hide. So you can't talk to the players. It's hard to find coaches. I'm lucky because I work at Fox. We get 15 minutes with the manager. But even when I walk on the field to try to grab some guys, not everybody takes BP, and so you don't get to talk to people, and then the fans don't get to hear from the stars, and they don't get to hear, forget the stars, from the 26th guy that's on the roster who, might be the favorite of some kid who saw him come to the one game and get a hit. How does Major League Baseball change this? I'm a big proponent, and listen, as a player, the media was the media. I knew they had a job to do. I would take my questions and move on, but is there a way? I know it has to be collectively bargained, but for 5 minutes, 3 to 3:05, everybody has to be in their locker for 5 minutes, guys, because They always schedule their meetings. If you look now, the meetings are always scheduled right when the media is in the room. How do we change this?
I think you're right. I think it has to be in the next CBA, which, as we all know, because Rob Manfred went to spring training and announced there's going to be a lockout on December 2nd, 2026. It has to be negotiated. Players need to understand that the estrangement between the players and their fans is a profound issue. You want to know why those stands are empty? That's why the stands are empty, because nobody feels a connection. And partly that's also because analytics have conspired against the great individual feats that used to be a reason to come to the ballpark. I talked to Dave Roberts just this weekend about the Clayton Kershaw perfect game. When they take Clayton Kershaw out after 7 perfect innings, the guy's the best left-handed pitcher of his generation who's done everything else. But, the rule is he's got to come out, right? So he comes out. I understand why Davey did what he did. But what if the headline the next day was not Clayton Kershaw removed from a perfect game, but instead this guy who hadn't pitched since maybe October 1st, he couldn't pitch in the playoffs in 2021, comes out and throws a perfect game. That's a reason to go to the ballpark. And if analytics keeps subverting the accomplishments that individuals can make, it gives you no reason to come. Do I want to go see a parade of relief pitchers I've never heard of who will be gone in a week anyway because they'll tear their UCL and somebody else will come and take their place? No, I really don't want to see that. And 5.2 innings per start is just not a lot of fun to watch anyway.
We spend a lot of time on the road. We are often concerned about our online security when you're logging in from all over the globe, really. So you should maybe look into a VPN. What does that stand for, Kratz?
Virtual private network.
Boom, nailed it. And that virtual private network that you should look into is called Surfshark. It is time to take control of your online security and try Surfshark today. You can enjoy their 30-day money-back guarantee and secure your digital world right now by visiting the link that we'll post there for you and start surfing securely. Surfshark.com/foul or the code foul at checkout will get you 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN, aka Virtual Private Network. It's a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. Surfshark's unique VPN benefits include use on unlimited devices in 100 countries and 24/7 support at surfshark.com/FOUL. This has been your tech update. Keep your data safe.
What's the coolest idea anybody gave you in writing this book? Which, by the way, we have the same literary agent.
I know we do.
And
Good
your
taste.
book, Mr. Black.
Mr. David Black. He's a terror, isn't he?
He is delicious.
The craziest idea. Johnny Gomes said, buy Little League. Major League Baseball should buy Little League, which maybe isn't as crazy as it sounds. The fundamentals, dare I say it, are lacking today. What if you could get former players to come out and teach clinics at Little League, or manage clinics, or run the league, for God's sake, and actually show kids why and how it can be fun. Major League Baseball, compared to football, has done a lousy job of scaling the game down to a little kid's size. In the football, they have little tiny little fields and tiny little footballs to play with. They haven't made it user friendly for 6-year-olds. Yeah, there's T-ball, but even they know that's not real. So they have to find a way to show the joy. And if players don't want to share that, then it's not going to get better. I totally agree. But my idea,
What about
my crazy
Yeah.
idea,
what do you got?
increase the pitching staff to 15, have a healthy scratch list like in the NHL. You put your starter from yesterday, who's not going to pitch the next day, on this healthy scratch list, and your 2 most beat up, overused relievers, give them a blow, as they like to say in the sports section, and bring 2 other guys. Make it fluid so that you have a sort of a rolling pitching staff. But you have 15 altogether. The money you're going to save on Tommy John surgeries will pay their salaries, but you only have 11 to use in each game. And that will force managers to start to use pitchers and develop pitchers who go, if not the distance, at least more than a token distance.
Well, wouldn't they have more optionality if they had that? To bullpen game it, or no?
I guess they can
No.
do that, yeah.
No,
No?
they won't. No, because you start the game, each game you designate which 11 pitchers are available that day. Manager gets to decide that, or the general manager, whoever's pulling the strings, but you get to rest some guys. You get to give them a blow. As you guys know, going max heave to get ready to pitch and then not get called in is also, that those pitches count. Don't you call them dry humps? I think
Yes.
something like that.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, right. Steve Howe gave way back in the day gave Buck Showalter hell for that. So in Jane's MLB, you don't pitch 2 days in a row, and you don't warm up in the bullpen like that 2 days in a row. You can't root for guys who aren't there. And every time you lose another important starting pitcher around whom a team is supposedly built, there's less reason to root. Why do you want to go see Oh, I don't know. Who's the worst spot starter I've seen this year? I can't think of who that might be because there have been so many of them. But give guys a chance to heal. Give them a chance to be actual pitchers whose ligaments don't tear like cheap Christmas wrapping paper, which is what's happening. There's been 60 more guys added to the list of Tommy John recoverers this season, and 10 more who've had internal braces. And I think there were 2 more just last night. I mean, you've got a plague here, and it's attacking the essence. It's not just attacking the health of a particular guy and a particular arm. It's attacking the health of the game because it's removing a reason to root, a reason to go out to the ballpark. When's the last time you went out to see a matchup?
Yeah.
Maybe Kershaw and Bumgarner. I mean, 11 times between 2000 and 2013, I think. That was a reason to go to the ballpark.
There's been a few good matchups, but in general, there's not a lot of, and this would definitely help with health because guys wouldn't be as taxed. But I'm going to disagree with you because if you want to see this kind of baseball, go down to the DR because it's exactly how they do their innings and how they build their rosters. And I've seen triple barrels down in the DR where they have 2 lefties warming up and a righty getting hot too. So because they're going to throw, and then the next day they're not on the active roster. They don't have to travel to Licey. They don't have to travel to Escogido. So it's one of those things that anytime you give teams more pitchers, they're going to burn them out even more. So I think the health would help, but we can't give them more pitchers. Sorry, Jane. I don't agree with you on that one.
Then how do you protect the arms? What would you do? If you can't use more than 11 in a game, you're going to have to use them in a very different way that resembles how you staffed a game years ago.
Okay.
You're going to make a starting pitcher who can go a distance. I was fascinated because I'm talking to Davey Roberts about Kershaw and Rich Hill and the games he pulled him out of, the perfect games he pulled him out of. And then it was the next night that he let Yamamoto go all the way through the ninth. And of course, it ended badly for the Dodgers and Yamamoto. But that game was great for baseball. I mean, that was fabulous for baseball. And Davey said the next day, I wanted it for him. I wanted it bad. And we need more of that.
Yeah, we got to follow storylines. I'm with you. All right, so one more from the book, and then for the rest, we're not giving it away. You got to go grab a copy. I'm all in on this. We talk about league issues all the time, and don't hold back. One of the few independent platforms out there show-wise that can do this. But my question for you is, you got to spend some time with Morgan Sword, right, who works at the league office. You had some combos with him. So what was that like? And the reason I ask about him specifically is that you hear through the grapevine that he might be the next commissioner of baseball. So what are we getting ourselves into? I've spent a little bit of time with him as well. I know he's super into numbers and analytics, but what was your experience like?
I think I saw some of his heart and some of his, the humanist in him. And that really was maybe the most hopeful thing I saw. Because if I'm not commissioner, I think maybe he should be. He talked about living in an age where the idea that you can know everything has become a kind of mania. Why do we need to know everything? Why do we have to presume that we can figure out to 99.9% who's the best person to send up to bat? I think that's a fallacy. I think that kind of control, particularly in baseball, where so many things are at play in any given moment, is a bad way to go. Analytics can tell you what's going to happen 9 times out of 10, or what has happened 9 times out of 10. It cannot tell you what will happen in that 10th moment, whether there'll be midges on the mound in Cleveland, or sunlight in Willie Davis's eyes at Chavez Ravine, or Rajay Davis, who hit all of 12 home runs in 2016, is going to come hit a home run in Cleveland and tie Game 7 of the World Series. That's what makes baseball great. And that's what makes it, you can't completely game it. Joe Torre said they're trying to make an imperfect game perfect, and I resent it. Well, I agree. I resent it too. And I also think it's a false god. I don't think it makes for interest, and I don't think it's doable.